Today on the show, we're going to talk about online personalities. And no, we're not talking about your Tinder account. Welcome to Lore Party, the podcast that explores the stories, characters, and universes behind some of our favorite video games. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Lawerence. Last episode, we talked about how pretty much like every part of the Mega Man Battle Network universe is connected to the internet. Mm-hmm. Like, think of everything from the car you drive to work to the toaster that's in your kitchen. That's all on the internet. And so in order to navigate the internet, people, or operators as they're referred to, they use these special mobile devices called personal terminals, or PETs. Like, each PET has like a digital assistant called a NetNavi. This is the thing that pretty much like you can have check your emails, navigate the internet, destroy viruses, the whole 9 yards. What makes a NetNavi unique is that they borrow personality traits from their operator and then use those to develop their own unique personality and set of values. What I want to do in this episode is we kind of want to take like a deep dive into some of those like Navi and operator relationships and like kind of dig into those.
Oh yeah.
So like in the anime, Lan, he fought against Dex and Gutsman in the beginning. He was using this basic NetNavi, and the NetNavi would like pretty much get his ass handed to him every single time until Lan's dad, who is a scientist, sent him like this upgrade for his NetNavi, and it created Mega Man. And like Mega Man was pretty much based off of Lan's personality, but it was a little different than that. In the video game, you just start off with Mega Man.
It's pretty cool because it's like an extension of yourself. It's almost like there's two worlds, the digital world and the real world, not to go on like a Digimon tangent, but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And so your NetNavi is basically your digital self. It is independent of you, sure, yeah, but it's based off you, and it has like your traits and stuff, and so it's basically like you said, it's your digital self compared to like Facebook and like real world and digital world. I think that's really cool too. Do you feel like any of these NetNavis would like kind of have their own, I guess, hobbies and stuff like that too? Do you think that would be like a thing too?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I feel like their hobbies kind of like also mirror the operator, because when you look at like Dex and Gutsman's hobby is fighting things.
Yeah.
It's like being super gutsy, and like Dex is, tries to be like the tough guy. He's like self-proclaimed best net battler in Den City and everything.
He's definitely a mirror of Dex, that's for sure, because Dex kind of picks on Lan and Gutsman totally picks on Mega Man.
And speaking of like Dex too, like Dex and Gutsman have like a really, really cool relationship.
Yeah. They have like a bro relationship, you know what I mean? Like a surfer dude, but not a surfer dude, more like a frat boy bro relationship or something like that, you know?
And they both like they hype each other up, and they give each other a lot more courage and strength. Like, what I like about them is they personify true gutsiness. You kind of, and it's funny because in the beginning, because someone might think like, oh yeah, Guts is just being like super strong, but like Gutsman and Dex are pretty much like usually weak most of the time.
Oh yeah.
Where they draw their strength from is like their friends and like the things that they're super passionate about. Like Dex is always passionate about impressing like Melu or his brother, who thinks he's like the best net battler ever. Their relationship is cool because like I said, they super personify Guts because they're weak most of the time, but they step up when they absolutely have to.
I think it's really cool also that Gutsman, who was one of the big villains in Mega Man, like the original Mega Man and the original Mega Man anime, ends up becoming Mega Man's friend and stuff. I think that's really cool. But yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of characters that are from the original Mega Man game or Mega Man universe that have come over to this one too. Like you have Fireman, for instance. He's the first villain you fight. Most people remember either fighting Gutsman or Fireman in the original Mega Man games. And he has an operator named Mr. Match. Go figure, Fireman, Mr. Match. Ooh, creative. But yeah, no, he's a cool operator though too. He's probably the most interesting operator aside from LAN, in my opinion, throughout the whole like game story. Like he goes through 3 different NetNavis.
So he must have a lot of money.
Yeah,
or
right.
Like a really crazy personality.
Yeah, or he's got some mad skill with those codings. Mr. Match. So Mr. Match is the first villain you fight, and he is Fireman. And Mr. Match is all about, like, obviously setting fire to your house and stuff like that. And that's where you find him. He sets your, like, whole house on fire, and you had to put your house out.
Remember, he was, like, the funny thing about him is he was going around doing that as part of World 3. Like, he was going in, sneaking into people's house, pretending to update, like, their house, apparently.
Yeah, their systems and stuff.
And then all it was doing was, like, causing your fucking oven to go crazy.
Yeah. So Mr. Match is interesting because he goes through 3 different navis. Now, the cool thing is he has a fiery personality. That's kind of what he is. He's kind of a hothead at least in the beginning of the games, because he's in every game, and he's a hothead in the beginning, and he's kind of like, ooh, you know. He's also a redhead, so that's another thing. But he is Fireman, and then you end up defeating. No, you don't. You defeat Fireman a couple times, and you fight him a bunch. But eventually, there's another NetNavi that we'll talk about later. His name is Base. He ends up fighting Fireman and killing Fireman. So your NetNavi can get deleted. So you end up destroying Fireman, and Mr. Match creates a new one. And again, it's based off of his fiery personality. It's called Heatman. And I think, so he has 3 NetNavis. There's one that I'm not sure about. So he has Heatman, and then all of a sudden he gets Flame Man.
Well, how they describe it in the anime is like everybody has like essentially like a backup in quotes of their NetNavi.
Okay.
They take like that backup and they pretty much, you can either like restore your NetNavi or you can build a new one. My theory was always that like since he was the only person that really ever used a different one, is like he took that backup of his defeated navis and then like created a new one so it would be like more hot.
But he ends up at the end, I think he ends up back with Fireman, right?
Right,
or
yeah.
Fireman, yeah. I guess he finds his backup of him and then just updates him, I guess. But Mr. Match is cool too because at the end of the series, he ends up becoming a teacher, and a really good teacher actually.
Yeah, and I mean it was cool because like his relationship with his NetNavi, like it really like mirrored his personality. He was hot-headed and super temperamental, and like I feel like the more the series progressed, the less hot-headed he became, and I felt like that's why he kind of reverted back to like his original NetNavi eventually, which was like the least fiery.
Yeah, well, like I feel like he's the perfect example of a NetNavi and their operator evolving over time, because his story changes, his NetNavis change, and he ends up kind of, I would say, back to square one, but he ends up with the original NetNavi he had. And the thing is, I feel like Fireman was his first NetNavi in general.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's cool for him to end up back to where he was. And Fireman is different. He's also grown. He's changed along with his personality as well. So I think he's the perfect character in terms of explaining why NetNavis have all this crazy customization. They can change with their operator, all that kind of stuff. He's the perfect example.
Right.
But there's a couple other ones that are a little different though too. So like, for instance, there's a character named Yai. She's a little girl who's super rich. And I mean rich like
Mark Zuckerberg?
Oh, please, not even that. She's way more than that. She literally will take a bath in money.
I appreciate seeing her house in the video game because it's just the biggest damn thing in that neighborhood. And I'm just like, who let you build this here? Like, what zoning laws are there?
It was right. Her NetNavi though is really cool. What's his name again? It's
Glide.
Glide. So Glide is more of a butler. He's more of still like the traditional like, how may I help you, madam? Like that's kind of like what he does. He doesn't necessarily fight either.
Yeah, and I mean it fits her personality because she's like spoiled.
Yeah.
Like her friends keep her grounded, but like she's still pretty spoiled. And like he's the only one who refers to her as Miss Yai.
I think her NetNavi is a really interesting example because he's very much the assistant to like the utmost degree. Like those normal NetNavis that you have, the generic ones that just kind of do like your average like Siri shit. He goes above and beyond for her.
Yeah, I do feel like Glide is a very good example of her true personality, because if you look at it, Glide isn't stuck up or like snobby or bragging that, you know, like they have all this money. Glide is always willing to help any way that he can. And that's kind of how he is in a weird way. Like, if like there were times where she was just like, oh yeah, my family has like this private jet or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, she lends resources to the team, and it's without like much thought or question. Like, she's just, yeah, I can do that for you guys.
And there's one more person I think we were going to talk about. What is it? Meilu, right? And so she's the operator, and Roll is her NetNavi. She's the supporting character in the real world, and her NetNavi role is the supporting NetNavi. She's always healing Mega Man, always helping him out like that.
And like Meilu is the same way, because like Meilu takes care of Lan all the time. Like, she makes sure that he's like always on time for school, that he's doing his homework, that he's like just pretty much just like not fucking up because he's a lazy idiot.
Okay, so now I have a question for you. If you're dating somebody, does that mean your NetNavis are dating? Or what happens if your NetNavi likes somebody else's NetNavi and not the person you're dating's Navi? Like, how is that going to go?
That seems like some first world problems there, man.
Right?
I mean, what if your iPhone doesn't like your girlfriend?
Imagine if your Siri absolutely hated your girlfriend. It was like, no, I don't like her. I mean, granted, obviously it's a similar personality to you, but they are their own personality.
I can see that happening, and it would be hilarious, because like I can see some people really like that ending relationships. Like, well, if your NetNavi doesn't like me and it's around, or hey, if they're dating this other person, are you talking to them? I mean, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends.
Oh yeah, okay, 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 all right. Spice Girls reference. I feel like, I don't know, the whole social world would completely change.
Well, imagine being able, I mean, and for some people this would be the absolute worst thing in the world, but imagine being able to take like your social media personality. So like how you are, that confidence that you have when you're sitting behind the computer, and then like that person is just like now here with you everywhere you go.
Here's my question then. If you had a NetNavi, what would your NetNavi be like?
Man, I spent way too long thinking about this. I would say that my NetNavi would probably be one that had a strange combination of using like fire and ice, because like I'm like calm and cool and collected for the most part, but like I can get to a point where like I'm like a hot-headed, like super temperamental person. So I can always see like having like, I could picture myself having a NetNavi that could probably like switch elements from like ice to fire, and he would only switch to fire when he was like super pissed off and couldn't think of anything.
I guess mine would be pretty cool though. I mean, I don't know. I'd want him to be able to transform. Like, I feel like that'd be cool. Like, if, like, you know how Mega Man can transform? He has like, I don't like those kinds. I'm not talking those kinds of transformations, but like, I guess like Super Saiyan shit. Like, he'd be cool, man. He'd be all about being a hero, dude. Like Deku, like that's what I want to make him.
That sounds pretty much up your alley. Make sure you connect with us on Twitter at @lore_party. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. It definitely helps us build the show, and we appreciate it. And stay tuned, because we have way more Mega Man episodes coming up.